Hey, Jeff here. How you doing, VC? It's Monday morning. We got another work week started here. Thought I'd take another quick break just to quickly update some things that came in recently. So I thought I'd show these. First off, I wanted to let you all know, I mentioned this in a previous video, but I had the pleasure over the weekend of again being a special guest on the Headbangers Lounge podcast. Now, I put a link below to the channel. I had done a show with them before. Basically, they talk about albums. They go through each song, talk about, their thoughts, and then rank the songs as far as give them a score. Just kind of an overview of the album, kind of talking about these things. And it is a new show, and they've only done 4 shows so far, and the one we did Saturday was the 5th one. And they just moved it all over to its own YouTube channel from another channel where they had been depositing them. So the new channel, it has 10 subscribers right now. So if you check it out, the link below, it's basically a couple young guys from Puerto Rico that are doing this, and they've discovered some of these bands, and it's neat because, again, they're the modern younger generation, in their teens, and they're discussing bands that I grew up with in my teens. And of course it makes me feel old because these kids could be my kids. So yeah, it's great though to get 2 different perspectives, and here's a new generation. So check them out. We did Striper a couple weeks ago. We did I joined him for Motley Crue's Theater of Pain, and then Saturday we did Kiss with Psycho Circus. Now they do have plans, him and his partner, who will be coming back to do some shows with him. They're going to go through all the Kiss albums. It'll be interesting, if you want to check that out. If you're big into Kiss, they like Kiss and Striper, and they were going to do all kinds of other bands. So anyway, the Headbangers Lounge podcast, link below. Go over there and subscribe. Give them a check out. Like I said, they're starting off with the new subscribers, so, give them a little love. Anyway, so yeah, that took place. And it hasn't posted yet, the one that we just did Saturday, but it'll be posted soon. And it was the first one that we did on a video using, video recording. Most of the other ones were strictly audio podcasts where they added graphics. So anyway, check it out. It's kind of interesting if you're into that kind of stuff. Want to hear about, in-depth looks. All right, so recently, a couple videos ago, I was showing how I picked up all the King's X albums. Now, the reason I did that was because Record Store Day, there are 3 more albums coming out, and I wanted to kind of catch up. Well, while we think and talk about King's X, there's another band of the same era, same area, same producing sound, things along that line, that are basically another one of my favorite bands in that kind of a same genre, and that's the Galactic Cowboys. Now they've released I don't know how many, 5, 6, 7, 8 albums. I don't know. They recently got back together, in the past 5 years or so, put a new album out. They had, kind of fizzled out, and then got back together and did a reunion album. Their original set of albums, though, back in the day, as far as I know, only their first album came out on vinyl, and I was able to score a copy of this. Now I had to get it from overseas. So I thought, it wasn't a bad price, and with shipping and everything, it still wasn't a horrible price. And I thought, I better grab this while I can. It's one of my favorite albums. Just lots of harmonies. Can't you see it's not amusing anymore? We're not amused by the blood upon your floor. Lots of sludgy grooves to it. Can't you see it's not amusing anymore? Great band. If you like King's X, or even sort of like King's X, and you haven't heard Galactic Cowboys, you need to check them out. If you haven't heard them, period, and don't know anything about King's X, you need to check out both bands. I had the pleasure back in the 90s of seeing King's X tour with the Galactic Cowboys open. And yeah, it was a great show, because it's like 2 of my favorite bands, and it was just great So yeah, now it is an overseas. When I got it, I thought, is there a record in here? After I pulled it out, because I mean, it's one of those really thin labels, and even the record was like really thin. Not that I want to break it, but I was just, it's an import, but I was just surprised at how thin feeling it was. But yeah, so I finally got this. I am so thrilled to have this because here's a picture of the band. Because again, just love it. Now I picked up a thing. I was looking for this one particular album actually, and you know how you go to Discogs and then you say, well, they've got 5 other things I want. So you go look at the other things and you're like, save some shipping and order some things. They had this album. This is what I went after. This is the original 1986 self-released One Bad Pig album. Now this is early. This would be in the Christian punk. And this is more punk than like bands who came before them, like Undercover and stuff, who were more pop punk. These guys are a little more they're still fun and everything, but they're a little more aggressively sounding punk.
Lifted up upon his throne was the great I am, and me alone. Jehovah's glory was all about. All heaven shook with the angels shout. 3 times holy is this God of might. Here am I, let me. Here am I, take me. Here am I, get me. Here am I, sit me. Take me, let me. I am my way.
Always loved these guys, but back in the day when this came out on vinyl in '86, I never bought it, and it never came out on CD back in the day, and it was on cassette and vinyl, and I think at one point I had the cassette, but I don't know, that was a long time ago. Anyway, I have just always thought it'd be great to have one of the original copies on vinyl, and I found a copy, and it wasn't a bad price at all. I saw one record label had got a copy of this recently, a sealed copy, and they sold it. I almost jumped on it. They wanted like 50 for it, but I ended up getting this one for a little less than 50. So I went ahead and made the move because, again, it was just kind of like, I want to call it kind of a grail on this side, just because I've always kind of wanted it, but it was always out of the price that I could do, and it just seems like recently they've been showing up a little more, a little more reasonable. They did reissue that on CD. It looks just like that. I showed it probably in the past year. It came out, I guess, 10 or 12 years ago. Now, most of those songs did appear on their first album, which I have shown because this was recently reissued on vinyl. And I showed this. It's on color, and I got both colors. And, it's kind of this neat little pink, because you can see that the color scheme is pink and green. And so it was released on, the green is still in the case. So yeah, this was their first album, and a handful of songs from that EP did make it to this. So you had re-recordings of it, but just to have that was what was always neat. And then again, the band did the typical, they did stuff in the 80s and early 90s, and then they disappeared, fizzled out. But then in 2016, the band reformed and released their new album, Love You to Death. And this was, again, a reunion with most of the original members, and they got together and did this, and it was great stuff. So I'm hoping this wasn't the end, but it has been 5 years. And this was released on a pretty pink vinyl. So again, just one of those bands that I love over the years. They're one of the few punk bands I have. Now, that was the main thing I wanted, was that Christian band EP original vinyl. But this was some things he had that I went ahead and threw in for no extra shipping. This was Striper Reach Out. This is a single. I had this back in the day. It's got an interview on it, so I thought it'd be worth getting. And so I went ahead and grabbed that for just a few dollars extra. And then I went ahead and finished out my 77s collection. You know, you'd think for a band that I absolutely adore and love so much, I would have them all on vinyl, but it was kind of like I didn't have the first two albums. And so he had one, near mint condition, great stuff. Exit Records, you know. And I was not sure if these are ever going to get reissued. The third album by the band is getting reissued as part of the stretch goal for the latest Kickstarter that took place last year, that's in the process of actually being fulfilled now. So that is coming. But anyway, the second album, not sure if that's ever going to be reissued. And then he also had the first album, and again, these were like in near mint, very good condition. And these are original, you know, issues from the 80s. So I was thrilled to get these two, and again, looking forward to the Kickstarter stuff that's coming out very soon for some of the reissues that they've done on a live album. So that's all for now, though. Thanks for watching. I will be back soon. Rock on and rock hard.